Hello, everybody, and good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning. Depends which part of the world you are watching us right now. I am so excited. Number one, because today was an amazing sunny day in London, which this is quite rare, but probably spring has arrived also here in London. So that was really exciting, and I'm so happy about that. And if you're watching us right now, drop down in the comments and let us know which part of the country in UK or which part of the world are you watching us right now live, okay? I'm so excited that today is gonna be an amazing day. And if you're watching us right now live, put on the hashtag live, or if you're watching the recording, okay, just put hashtag recording, and this interview is going to be a game changing for most of you, and first of all for me, because I'm so excited to have this expert with you. Just to remind you, E2E is an amazing program, an amazing show that allows you to have directly in your home, in your phone, wherever you are, an expert in different areas. Okay, so today we're going to have an expert on regenerative medicine. How many of you here would like to know that there may be alternatives on how you can cure or take care of your body and take care of your health? Okay, drop it down in the comments. Okay, and how many of you would like to know that your body cannot be violated, or there can be another different type of opinion? As a coach, I always talk about different type of perspective. Okay, so as a coach, I look at reality and I help you to look at the reality from different points, different angles, and then you take up your right decision. I'm so excited today to introduce you Dr. Ross. Dr. Ross, I had the privilege of meeting him 2 years ago in an event of Tony Robbins in London. And then the same year we met and we were together in Las Vegas in the biggest business event that Tony Robbins does. And we had, together with his wife, had an amazing time together, and we started chatting, and I was curious of what he was doing. So I was asking questions, I was trying to find out, and now I have the privilege of bringing him right now here with you, and he can come and introduce you and give you a lot of deep insight. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, get ready and give me some sound. Give me some sound, and let's welcome directly from Florida, South Florida, West Palm Beach, Mr. Dr. Ross Carter. There you go, Ross. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm laughing from that intro. That was fantastic.
Well, I'm working on having proper drums to do that.
Okay, that'd be good. Yeah.
So for now, we just move on and make a sound of our laps. And how are you doing? How is life in South Florida?
Normal. We're back to pre-COVID normalness. It's nice here. Great weather. I love it. I love Florida. I mean, people say funny things about Florida, in the States at least, but it's paradise here, man. I'm telling you, it is absolute paradise in Florida, especially.
Absolutely. I believe in a couple of months, latest in a couple of years, I'll be there with you, because it's a different game. I love London, okay, but I would like to spend some time there in Florida, especially in the area where you are, Miami, and that would be amazing.
No doubt, we have some good weather here. Really good weather.
Absolutely. Average temperature 29 Celsius degrees, so that's having basically summer all the time.
Yeah, it can be warm. I love it, though.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some people who are just joined in. We've got Mariana from Bulgaria. Hello, Mariana. We've got also Lily from Bulgaria. Live, good evening. It's amazing to see you. Thank you, Lily. It's amazing to see you too. Whoever is right now live, please drop down and tell us which part of the world are you watching us right now. So, Ross, let's start immediately. I want to know, what is the regenerative warrior? Because I was wondering, what's that? So please share with us what's regenerative warrior.
Well, the Regenerative Warrior is a show that I created to educate both medical professionals as well as the general public on advanced regenerative procedures that are not very well known, because the science and the art really of regenerative medicine is a fairly new area. It's not been around very long, maybe 5 or so years, maybe 5 to 10 years. So it's not been around for a long time. So what I decided was, since I was involved heavily in this, I wanted to share my knowledge and experience with everyone in regards to these amazing procedures and how they can be life-changing for people. And so that's the Regenerative Warrior is the name of the show that I created to do that.
Yeah, so basically this is a show, and this comes from your medical experience. So yes, let's go a step backwards. What is regenerative medicine?
What is regenerative medicine? Basically, it's where we use your body, your own body, to stimulate the repair and regeneration of damage that occurs through normal wear and tear, as well as when we injure ourselves. We're just basically stimulating the body to facilitate regeneration of our bodies. So that's what it is. It's just using different procedures to help stimulate us to heal.
So basically, are you saying that inside of us, we've got our internal power of regenerate something which may not be working?
Yeah, absolutely. We have these amazing cells called stem cells. We all actually we came from a stem cell, and a stem cell is an undifferentiated cell, meaning that it hasn't become a specific tissue line. So these stem cells basically can create new cells of tissue, whether it be bone, ligament, muscle, cartilage, whatever. So we've got a repair system in our body already there. I mean, right now, like a second, we've just lost millions of blood cells. Now they died, but we have millions more being recreated. And that comes from a type of stem cell called a hematopoietic stem cell. So basically, our body is constantly renewing itself and regenerating itself and healing damage that occurs. But eventually, we get to a point where the amount of damage that we're sustaining is greater than our repair system is. And that's what we call aging. Aging is where we're not healing like we should, like we did before. And that's where aging becomes a problem, because it develops into some kind of disease process eventually, which kills us. It has a 100% success rate in that.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that until a cell is able to, until the process of regeneration is higher than the process of death of the cell, we are not aging. When this
Well, we are, but when aging becomes a problem, that's when aging becomes a problem. The goal of the goal of what I do, as well as other doctors to some degree, is to try to keep that in a balance where we're regenerating as fast as we're damaging ourselves. And that is kind of like, if you think about it this way, let's say if you've ever seen like an antique car, like a Model T or some kind of antique car, like it could be on the road or at a car show, right? Now, that car was made over 100 years ago. All right. But its life expectancy when it was made was probably 10 years? I mean, it wasn't that long. But how is it possible that 100 years later, that car is still functioning like it did when it first began? And the way it did that is through maintenance, because every time you use a car, it sustains some degree of damage, little minor damage over time, right? And if you can repair that damage before it becomes catastrophic, then you can preserve that car. Well, this is the same thing that happens to our bodies. Our bodies, through just normal metabolism, it starts to cause breakdown. Now, if we can repair that breakdown before it becomes catastrophic and forms a disease process, then we can maintain our health. And that's really the goal, because we are only as strong as our weakest link. So, most people have no idea of what their weakest link is. For example, you could take great care of your skin, not go out in the sun and, put moisturizer on there all the time, and your skin looks great, but then you die from a heart attack. So it doesn't matter how well you took care of your skin, because you just died from something else that you weren't aware of that was a problem in your body. Your weakness was cardiovascular disease or heart disease, basically. So we are only as strong as our weakest link. And if there is a way to find out what our weakest areas are and constantly fix them so that they don't become a problem, that's the best way to maintain your health and maintain your life so that you never develop a problem. People, like, if you took a smoker, for example, and they smoke for, 10, 20 years or whatever, suddenly they eventually wake up and find out, oh, I have cancer. So now they've got to go through chemotherapy or surgical procedures, but their lungs will never be the same as if they were before they started smoking, right? So a person who never smokes, right, their chance of getting lung cancer is like very little to none, because our lungs are able to repair damage that we have normally until we die. So we never develop lung cancer. But since this person has constantly damaged themselves over and over and over again with this smoke, they now develop a disease process, and the body is just unable to repair it because they have damaged themselves. So if we can put that middle ground where our body is repairing as quickly as we damage it, that's awesome. Now, it would be great if we could prevent the damage in the first place, something called oxidative stress. The challenge is that these processes are occurring all the time, and they're very quick. And it is really impossible to stop it from happening. So if we can't stop it, and we don't want to wait till it's a disease process, we need to stay in the middle lane, which is maintenance. Maintenance. I know that's such a basic word, but that is the critical part. Maintaining our health over and over and over again for years and years and years, and then we can last long, like that Model T. And be in great running shape. I'd like to live more to 100, but be in the same shape with the same abilities that I have now. Because most of the time when I do a presentation, I say, hey, how many of you want to live to 120? Nobody's raising their hand. When they think of somebody that's 120, they think of somebody that is in a wheelchair or has a walker, that has multiple health problems. They're probably senile. They're just not themselves. But I say, well, what if you could live to 120 and be exactly how you are now? Now, everybody wants to say that. That means, hey, I'll stay healthy. I don't have pain. I won't have a disease process. I won't have disability, and I can still, enjoy my life. That's what true, aging should be. But that's not what happens. What's crazy is this, that we have a huge health problem in the world, throughout the world. 150,000 people die every day. Did you know that? 150,000 people. 135,000 of those are adults. So we got 15,000 children or babies that die. So 135,000 die every day throughout the world. 110,000 of those people, which is 80%, is from an age-related condition, right? That's what kills us. 80% of adults that die is due to an age-related conditions: atherosclerosis, stroke, heart disease, diabetes, you name it. The killers are age-related. Because how many people do you know? I love this. This is I was reading this. This is great. Hold on a second. How many people that you know that are teenagers or even in their 20s that develop atherosclerosis, cardiovascular disease, cancer, arthritis, cataracts, osteoporosis, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, Alzheimer's disease? How many people you know that develop that and they're a teenager? How many? Like none or very low, right? But that's what kills us when we get older. So there has to be something between the difference between being a teenager and being a 70-year-old adult. So we're the same person, but our body is not repairing like we did when we were young, right? But what if there was a way to do that? What if there was something that we could do to ourselves in a way to repair and regenerate the damage that's been done that we're not even aware of, just normal wear and tear? And that is something that we have already found. But, unfortunately, especially in the States, our government has prevented us from doing these procedures, which is crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy. It's called in general as a category, regenerative cell therapy or stem cell therapy. But yeah, we're not even really allowed to do these procedures as a systemic anti-aging procedures. Why? Because the way you get the best regeneration is to take these stem cells out of our own bodies and expand them into a massive quantity of cells and then inject them back so that we can repair everything. But guess what our government says, and I don't know if this holds true for UK, but I think it does, is that it becomes a drug. Your own cells expanded, just grown into more and put back in your body is illegal here. That is called, that is expanded or manipulated cell therapy. And we can't do that here. We can't. And that seems bizarrely crazy because of the huge benefits that it has been proven that these therapies can do. And it's not just like, hey, we fix a knee. I mean, nobody dies from knee pain. But, it can help repair heart damage after a heart attack. How about that? What if we could, when a person has a heart attack and those cells die, right? That's what happens. It loses the blood supply to the actual heart tissue. We could repair that tissue. Well, guess what? They've had tons of studies that show that's in fact what they can do. What about if we have brain damage from trauma or some other kind of damage to the brain cells? What if we can inject regenerative cells to those areas and stimulate new brain tissue to be created? That's already been done. These have been proven already, but you haven't heard of them because they don't allow the governments prevent, or people that are in higher powers prevent us from finding out about these amazing things. And what's crazy is that it's such a simple thing to do. You could do an IV of stem cells. I mean, almost painless. You do an IV and you just sit there and that's it. It's so simple, and it could prevent all this pain and suffering that we go through. We develop painful conditions, we develop disease processes, and then we develop disabilities. If we could prevent all that from a one-time procedure or one procedure that takes 10 minutes to do, I just find it absolutely insane that everybody in the world doesn't know about these things. It's just crazy.
So if you could say it briefly and in the clearest way, because I'm not a doctor.
No.
I'm a speaker and I have a background in law. So when it comes to medicine, I am totally ignorant.
Yeah.
So how could you, in a very simple way, explain what are stem cells?
What stem cells are?
Yes.
A stem cell is a specialized cell that can become more of itself, or it can create various other types of cells. It can create a blood cell. It can create muscle cell. It can create cartilage. It can create ligament. It can create bone. So it's a cell that can create any type of tissue in your body.
Wow.
That's what it is.
So for example, if somebody has a lack of white blood cells with stem cells,
yep,
injected, can the body read that and then produce more of what is missing?
Right. Well, for example, let's take leukemia, for example. That's a blood cancer, right? So they have a problem with their entire blood system. That what they do now, which is very common, is they just irradiate the entire immune system and they kill off all the cells that you already have. And they use a donor and they inject new blood stem cells into the body, and it invaginates new cells to grow. And then you have a brand new immune system. So yes, the answer is absolutely. That's the best way to do it, and the way it can save your life. I had a friend who just had this procedure done, and it saved her life.
Yeah, because for example, my mom, she has deficiency of white blood cells. Okay,
Okay.
but it's not dangerous. It's all good. Okay, but she has to monitor it because sometimes they may go too low.
Yeah.
Okay, and she needs to have a strict diet and things like that. So
Yes.
I'm just thinking of how could this be beneficial and helpful if that's how it works.
Well, the hematopoietic stem cells create blood cells, and they also create our immune cells, which is what you're referring to. So those cells come from the bone marrow of our bodies. It creates the B and T lymphocytes, which is the white blood cells. And so, yes, you could infuse that and create new and stronger immune system.
Amazing. So we had Lily who was repeating what you said because it was so powerful. So for those of you who have just joined us right now live, we are here with Dr. Ross Carter directly from West Palm Beach in South Florida. And he is here as the expert on how to take advantage of regenerative medicine. So he said something which was so powerful, and Lily is reminding us we are as strong as our weakest spot. So thank you so much, Lily. Then we have a question that is coming from the audience, and Totka is collecting it. How alcohol affects the body and the cells?
How alcohol affects the body? Well, I think we all know how it affects our body and at least our mind. Any kind of, I mean, you're talking about, we're talking about chemical stresses. You know, our bodies go through different types of stress, whether it be physical, emotional, or chemical. Anytime you put the body under any of these type of stresses, it's going to affect the ability to function well. So whether it be a physical stress, whether it be an emotional stress, which we've been going through a lot of the last year, and a physical stress and a chemical stress like alcohol, it doesn't help things, you know. So I would just say, you know, avoid alcohol. I don't drink it all myself, you know. And I'm a vegetarian, so I try to keep a healthy environment in my body. And I know alcohol is not something that stimulates health, so I want to keep my liver functioning well, you know, because it's there to filter out all the chemicals that we ingest, and that alcohol is one of them that can definitely affect the ability of our body to function. So yeah, it's not a good way to be healthy.
And in terms of cells,
how does it affect the creation of cells?
Yeah, creation or death or regeneration of cells.
Well, I don't really know exactly how alcohol will cause or accelerate death. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact mechanism of alcohol with cell replication. I just know that it definitely has to be filtered, and you know, it probably kills a lot of liver cells, definitely. And I remember it always talking about it actually can affect the brain system as well. So obviously, because we feel a difference of how we function. But the actual, you know, the in-depth mechanism of how alcohol can affect regeneration, I've never looked at, because it's never been. I mean, if somebody says, "Hey, you know, is alcohol good?" I would say no. So I would just say avoid alcohol, because it's not going to help you heal better. I definitely know that.
Thank you, Ross. And Ross, you work with different celebrities in different industries, from celebrities in sports, celebrities in general, and a lot of people who have a large exposure. But obviously, it wasn't always like that. So
No.
what was the turning point that made you discover this regenerative medicine? Because I don't think they teach this at Harvard or any type of medicine university. So what was the turning point that made you discover this amazing world?
Well, it was 2011. So it was actually 10 years ago. I was living in a place called Atlanta, Georgia. And at that time, I was single, and I wanted to meet new people. So I thought of taking what's called recreational sports, you know, where they have like all these groups and teams that meet and they do a sport together. And it's kind of like it is a social interaction That was real social interaction, and not like Facebook. So I decided, hey, I'm going to sign up for one of the sports. You know, they had like soccer, and they had kickball, and they had softball, and then they had something called dodgeball. Now, looking back, I don't know why I chose it, because that was the worst choice. But at the time, I remembered like very fond memories of playing dodgeball as a kid. And I just loved it when I was young. I mean, I was probably 9 years old. But anyway, it was something that I enjoyed. And so I signed up, and, you know, when you show up for the first team meeting and you're like, okay, I'm now the chaperone, because everybody was like 20, you know. I was like, okay, I'm 41 and these guys are 20. And so I was just like, well, you know, okay, whatever. I'm going to have fun. And I did. I became the team captain, you know, because I was like, I'm senior here clearly, so I'll take over. So anyway, we were the worst team because nobody had 80 skills. And in the middle of the season, right when we started a game, I went up and threw a ball, and I suddenly like landed and fell on my back, right? And I looked around, and there was no ball that hit me, and nobody was even around me. I was the only one in the middle of the court, and I'm looking around going, what the hell happened? And then I realized my leg had given out, right? And I thought, oh, that's weird. I thought I slipped. So I tried to get up and then realized I didn't slip. I had injured myself. And so I kind of hopped off the court. I thought I had sprained it a little bit, but it was so bad that I couldn't put any pressure on it at all. And I was like, this is something serious. So I went and got some MRIs, and I sent them to a orthopedist friend of mine. And, you know, he took a look at him. I mean, there was no hesitation. He's like, well, you fractured your leg and you tore your ACL, which is the big thing. Now, my meniscus was also a little injured, but it was mainly the ACL had torn. And I was like, oh. And he said, well, here's the deal. There's no way to fix this. You only can do a surgery. Like, I had a choice of using cadaver tissue or my own hamstring, and both of those sounded like a terrible idea. And being in practice for so long, I had seen so many people come in after knee surgery, and they weren't happy. There was, you know, if you know somebody's been through knee surgery, typically it's not just one surgery and they're done and everything is great. They typically have to go back and have some revisions and blah, blah, blah. And they're always going through rehab. They never become the same person. So when he told me I had to have surgery, I was like, oh my God, there is no way I'm going to have surgery. There's got to be something between surgery and physical therapy, right? Because I was doing physical therapy in my own office. The problem with that is you don't want a doctor to come limp up to you and say, hey, I'm going to help fix your knee when I'm limping, right? That didn't make a lot of sense, right? So I was like, okay, I got to get this fixed. So I started doing a bunch of research, and I found a place that did something called stem cell therapy. Now, I'd not heard anything positive about stem cell therapy at the time. I'd only heard negative things. Like in the States, we had some cloning done. I think it was called Lolly the Lamb. And then President Bush had signed some law saying, hey, you know, we're not going to fund stem cell research, right? So
because at that time there was a battle, a debate, like you are replacing God.
Yeah, there was a very big moral issue because they were taking embryonic stem cells, which is basically going to become a baby, and they were disposing of them. They were killing them. So I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound, and all that stuff was negative. So nothing was positive. But they said, hey, there's a different way to do this. You can use your own stem cells. And I didn't know how that happened. But what it turns out is they do a surgery, and they take the bone marrow out of your hip, and they take the stem cells out of your own bone marrow, which is still working. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I literally flew to Thailand, which is where they were doing this. And I went to the clinic, I watched, I learned everything there. And I was like, this is incredible. It's the most amazing thing. I was talking to all these patients, and they were like, oh my God, it saved my life. I had all these problems, and now I feel great. It was amazing. So I was like, this is the future. We can do an injection and fix all these problems that only surgery and drugs and stuff was maybe helping. I was like, wow, that was crazy. So when I came back to the Atlanta, I didn't do it there because I was like, sanitary conditions in Thailand, Bangkok, were not where I want them to be. You know, I like to be in a clean, sterile environment. That was not where I was. So what happened, I came back and then I was like, is there another option? And then that was when I was introduced to something called placental tissue, which is where they take the placenta after a woman's had a baby. That placenta that remains is usually just discarded. Well, they could recycle those cells and use them in somebody else. I thought that was amazing. So I was like, well, sign me up. So I literally did a injection of this placental tissue in my own knee. And that was it. It was like, you know, okay. And then I waited. And, you know, it took about, I don't know, a month. But then after a month, it was back to where I didn't favor my other leg anymore. I could walk normally. I could run. I could do all the things that I wasn't able to do after I had my injury. So it fixed my knee. You know, I wasn't bionic, man. I was just back to where I was prior to my injury. But it's been 10 years? Never had surgery, and I'm a runner. I'm in better shape than I was back then. And I exercise all the time, and I never have problems with it. So it fixed me. I was like, you know, I loved it. It was so awesome. And it was one injection. I'm thinking,
that's the thing. Only one injection, and
crazy, right? I was like, this is unbelievable. So when it fixed me, I told them when they gave it to me, I said, if this product works like you said it's going to do, I am going to be your biggest fan. And guess what? I became a big fan. So that's when I converted that office that was physical rehab, and we were doing like auto accident. We were doing everything, right? I converted that into a regenerative medicine center only. We called it Stem Cell of Atlanta, you know? So then I just opened that, and that's all we started doing. So I published a book because, you know, people didn't know anything about it. So I called a book called Doc Stem Cell, and it talks about how to eliminate knee, shoulder, and hip pain. And I published that book, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and it became a bestseller, which was cool. And it basically just talked about what we were doing. It was this called cellular regeneration method, which is what we came up with. And we just used different regenerative procedures to fix other people that had hip pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, and other type of degenerative problems. And we were just helping all these people. So that's how I got involved in it. And I just, you know, and then my life changed, and I was like, I am all on board. And I got to learn so much stuff just through my patients. But then I got extra training. I did a year of extra training when a large training company, it's called the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, released what's called their stem cell therapy program. And then I spent a year getting a fellowship in that. So I could get all the research and the science behind it, not just, hey, it works. I like that part, but I wanted to see why. You know, I wanted to understand what's going on, what's causing this to happen. And so that's how I got involved. And then that's how, you know, my life went into this direction of regenerative medicine.
Yeah. So what was the name of that book so I can show it to our audience?
It's I don't even have it available anymore. It was called Doc Stem Cell, but I do have a new book coming out in about 3 months. It's called Undo Aging, because really, when I was doing pain management, it's kind of unfulfilling because all you do is deal with people that have pain. And I wanted more. I wanted to, why wait till they already have a problem? Why not try to help maintain them? Like I mentioned before, maintain them before they have a problem. And that has to do with anti-aging, because aging causes all these problems to occur, the aging process. So why not address it before we got a problem? There it is. You're right.
So this is the old book, correct?
Yeah, that's an old book. Yeah.
Okay.
The research is like, you know, I mean, in this field, 8 years ago is ancient history. So that's why I don't put it out there anymore, because it's like, what? Plus, here's the thing that we learned recently. This is science recently discovered this. It's not the stem cells that actually cause they don't create new tissue. What I thought was happening, and most scientists thought this too, is let's say I inject a stem cell in a joint, like a knee. we thought it created a new cartilage. It doesn't do that. What it does is it stimulates your own cartilage cells in your body that are already cartilage cells. They're called progenitor cells, meaning they just create more of those type of cells. It stimulates those cells to start to create new tissue. So if I inject a stem cell, what it does is it goes to the area and it has an innate sense. These cells are amazing that this is how they work. They go to the area, they survey what's going on, and then they start producing chemicals to stimulate the other cells in the area, and they tell them what to do. It's like—
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Now you are saying that, for example, the stem cells understand that, okay, there's something which is not going on. Let's get the good part and let's duplicate and replicate and heal what's not going on.
Correct.
What if, is it possible, because it's a question, okay? I'm ignorant, so I'm asking anything as a child. Is it possible that the cell can duplicate what's not going on?
That the cell can duplicate what's not going on?
Yeah,
what do you
what's
mean?
not working?
What the question means?
What's not working?
Can it fix the damage?
No. Can it just amplify the damage? Because you say that the cell goes to detect and understands, okay, that's not working, let's repair it. What if they say, okay, that's not working, let's duplicate that? Could this happen?
Will it create damaged cells? No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. Cells replicate. So it stimulates cell replication. So what I guess a derivative of what you're trying to say is can it create malignant cells like cancer? Yeah, and the answer is yes, absolutely. It can. Okay, so what it does is it stimulates growth. Okay. Now, if you want new cartilage, then you need growth. If you need blood vessels, you need growth. If you need muscle, you need cartilage. You need ligaments, you need growth. But the point, what you're saying is, what if there's cancer? What if there's a malignancy? What if there's cells that are malignant? Will it stimulate growth? It can. So you got to be very careful when you do these procedures. Now, can it fix cancerous cells? They're using it for research right now to determine how to do that. They are showing positive results in certain cases where they're stimulating the cells to revert back to their old self to some degree, or for those cancer cells to divide. Now, what's crazy about a cancer cell is also called an immortal cell, because typically a cell over a period of time replicates and replicates to a certain point, usually about 50 times, and then it dies. Well, cancer cells are different in that they don't have that auto-destruct working anymore. So they just keep making more of itself, more cancer cells, and it doesn't stop replicating. And that's why it's called an immortal cell. And it has to do with something called telomeres, which basically are indicators of how many times the cell could replicate. So what's weird about a cancer cell is that it can continue to replicate without this limit on how many times it can replicate. So yes, a stem cell or these regenerative procedures could possibly stimulate a cancer growth.
Okay, this is to put in consideration, and at the same time, this reminds that you should never try to jump on somebody who is approximate or somebody who just jumps up. Oh, I'm gonna do this. No, always find the expert in the field, the expert in the area, somebody who can guide you, explain you exactly as Ross has done. I mean, I would never allow anybody to touch me or do anything if I don't have a proven track and he has used it personally on what I need to be done. Okay. So make sure you find somebody who knows the science, who knows how to apply it, and who knows what needs to be done. And talking about health issues, our audience is an audience of overachievers, people who push their limits, people who go on and they go beyond anything to achieve and to get what they really want. So
Yep.
they're business owners and leaders. Okay, and could stem cells help in recovery in a situation that you may have faced a burnout, or in a situation where you are having constantly panic attacks and anxieties?
Yes. So the answer, that's not an easy answer. There's no way to answer that really easily. Usually if you're talking about anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, those are more mental challenges. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's been some kind of damage that's been caused to produce that. So that would go into more cognitive behavioral therapies, things like that. Now, I deal with, I am also a sleep expert. So I also work with people that have problems with insomnia. And most people that have anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, all tend to have sleep issues, and most of them have problems with insomnia. So the way I work with those people is we look more at the cognitive behavioral things, look at their diet, look at what's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary axis, which has to do with your gut health as well. So when you're stressed out, your hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary, sending signals to the adrenals to release adrenaline or cortisol, and that stimulates you to be hyper aroused or have energy, the fight or flight mechanism. So when that happens, that'll prevent you from sleeping well, which is a common problem. When you have too much stress, is that your adrenals keep pumping out adrenaline at the wrong times, and you're not solving that problem. So that has to do with something else in regards to more mentally changing your mentality, as well as other mental things of breathing, for example, as well as nutritionally. You want to make sure that you're taking the right nutritional components, because we're usually deficient in various nutrition, like vitamin D, and there's magnesium is a big one. So that when somebody is stressed out, I look at those areas as well. Now, there is a component that can help it in the regenerative space, which is inflammation. Inflammation is really at the root cause of pretty much most issues, right? And stem cells and regenerative procedures are really, that's one of the primary things. Is they do two things mainly. They modulate the immune system, which takes down inflammation, and they stimulate a regenerative process, which means creation of new cells and new tissue. So the modulation of inflammation can absolutely help when you're stressed out, which causes all these other factors to occur. So the answer is yes, but not like we're not repairing damage. We're trying to take down inflammation, and inflammation could be contributing to the problem of stress and anxiety.
Okay, really interesting, really interesting. And right now, we are living unprecedented moments in life. I mean, this COVID has changed completely our life. And I hear stories of people that even after they have passed COVID and they have healed from COVID, they have kind of situations that keep on lingering around them, not leaving them, and somehow changes them. Some people have mini small strokes. Some people have really difficulties of breathing and
Yep.
really issues that do not pass away. Okay, so
Yep.
could stem cells talk about the post-COVID syndrome when
Right.
it comes to stem cells?
Well, that's actually one of there's probably at least 60 studies showing that stem cells in something called exosomes, which I haven't covered yet, but that's the 2.0 of stem cells actually. And these regenerative nanoparticles is what I term them, is what it does is it can help the regeneration process caused by the damage from COVID. Most people who have COVID, or when it was severe, have respiratory issues, like they have scarring of the lungs, for example. Well, you need to rebuild that tissue, and the best and easiest way to do that is stimulate the cells to replenish themselves, repair and replace, and that would be through regenerative procedures. So they're using amniotic, what's called amniotic exosomes. They've got a huge study that is helping people with post-COVID syndrome recover and become, somewhat normal again. And the results have been phenomenal. I mean, unprecedented results. And I sent a link to you, Moses, that you can, if you want to, well, maybe I can put it in well, I guess I can't, where people can look that up. This is new research, by the way. This is like the last month, where they're showing that they have such positive results using these regenerative nanoparticles that come from regenerative cells like stem cells and amniotic fluid. Yep, there you go. And they're having amazing results helping people with post-COVID syndrome.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, just click on the link, and this is free content available, and Dr. Ross has just given us the link so you can watch it and you can study, especially you can be aware. Because let me tell you one thing, my friend, if you're watching us right now, okay, we're not here trying to convince you of something. This is just the beginning, and Dr. Ross is one of the pioneers of this regenerative medicine. So if you are aware of this, and when it will be available in your area, you at least have the information by your own. You can do your own research, and then this will help you, because once you are awakened and you know what's going on, okay, awareness creates always change. The moment you get aware of something is the moment you open the door to possibilities. And when you open the door to possibilities, at the end of the day, you'll always find your way to take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. Okay? So this is why, and this is the mission of E2E, expert to experts. We know that you are an expert in an area, but you may be the best, you know what to eat, you know how to train, but there's always a next level. So we bring you always the best expert in specific areas. And today we had Dr. Ross, and it was really, 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 really amazing. And Ross, as we are getting to the final point, I would like to ask you, how can our audience know more about you, follow you, or reach to you in case they want to know even something even more personal or detailed? How can they reach to you?
The best way is to go just to my website, and it's really simple. Right. My website is just my name, drrosscarter.com. So it's drrosscarter.com. And there you can read some information about who I am and a little bit of history about myself. I'm always updating my website because it's been a little bit. So I'm definitely need some work on that. But you can find some information about me, and you can also schedule a time to talk if you have questions that you need assistance with. You're welcome to go there, as well as Facebook. You can look me up on Facebook. Just look up The Regenerative Warrior, and you'll be able to find me very easily on Facebook.
Yeah. And when do you go ahead with when do you normally go and broadcast your podcast?
Well, it's usually a couple times, at least 2 to 4 times a month. We have an episode that goes out. It depends on we just did a series on what was called biohacking mental health. And that was more related to, because there was so much going on in the world in terms of challenges with mental challenges.
Absolutely.
I pivoted from regenerative medicine, which people weren't as focused on. They were focused on survival. Survival is where everybody is to some degree. And once we get a point to where everybody thinks they're going to live and we're going to be okay, then they can start thinking about, how do I keep my health strong in the future? Right now, we're at this level of survival. So, and with that level, that's where sleep issues and other mental challenges take place. So I did a series of 50 interviews with experts around the world that can help people with sleep challenges, insomnia, and other. And I have just amazing guests that came on and did that. I have not released it. It's going to be as a package of content in relation to improving people's sleep.
All right. So we're waiting for that.
Yeah.
As soon as it will be out,
that'll be soon. That's my project I'm working on along with my book.
All right. All right. Yeah, it takes time to prepare something good, so that's fine. And Ross, we agreed that, and you're going to be with us on Thursday.
Yep.
So for all of you who are watching us right now, don't miss Thursday, because Thursday we're going to have an amazing workshop, and also the chance of you having a quick Q&A. Yep. With Dr. Ross. And Dr. Ross is going to prepare something, and he's going to go deep into it. Yep. So based on what we have spoken about today, and also based on what he feels that may be helpful for you right now, he's going to provide for you something that you will not find any other place except on Thursday. So share this video and share this live with people that you love, people that you think they may need to listen to this, and make sure that Thursday you come along with a friend, you share the link on Thursday, and you bring somebody else that could be with you. And guess what? You could be that force of good that is helping somebody else to get out of a hard situation, of something that probably doctors and people said, there's nothing we can do. I'm sorry, you have to do this, you have to do that, and we have to get into your body. We need to cut and get in. All these are really strong things. And for somebody like me who doesn't like at all even to take an aspirin or a pill, imagine if they tell me we have to cut open and get in. I will do all the 4 phases of the brain. I will freeze, I would fly away, I would fight. So for all of you, just make sure that you are there on Thursday, okay? So we've got Lily saying, I can't wait for Thursday. For sure, I have a question to ask. Well, if you have a question right now, we've got 5 minutes. You can just ask it right now, Lily, if you want, or you can just ask it directly on Thursday. And I have a question for you. We may have a lot of parents watching us right now. Is there any limit for any procedure on stem cells? Age limit?
No. I mean, I work with a clinic that works with autism, especially for children. So there's really not an age limit. Absolutely not.
By the way, you're talking of autism. Do you know that today is the National Day of Autism?
I did not, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this on a feed on Facebook. One of our clients has an autistic boy, and she put out a post of that. And tell us more. I mean, can stem cells intervene on autism? Yeah,
absolutely. The lab, or I'm sorry, the clinic that I work with, they do amazing work with. They work all the time with children and various conditions, autism being their primary. So like you were saying, there's not a limit of age. Age is not really the factor we need to look at. We just need to see what the condition is and what's causing it. If we can figure out what's causing it and allow our bodies to heal ourselves, there's so many different factors you have to look at.
So once we've done the right diagnosis and we know the cause of that condition of autism, it's possible to work on it with stem cells. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so it is possible. It just depends on what's causing the problem. If it's something that repair and or taking down inflammation, which when you take down inflammation in our bodies, most of us are in chronic inflammation or have chronic inflammation right now. We just don't know it. And we have these cells called senescent cells or zombie cells that accumulate as we get older. And with these senescent cells, they're called zombie cells, my favorite, because they're not dead. They're basically, all our cells have a expiration on them, okay? And sometimes for whatever reason, they don't expire, they don't die. So they just stay alive, but they don't produce anything of benefit. What they do is create chemicals that are inflammatory, and they create a lot of inflammation throughout systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation through our body can cause autoimmune conditions, for example, like, name it rheumatoid arthritis and there's so many autoimmune conditions. So if we use a regenerative procedure and we take down that inflammation, it can minimize the symptoms of that autoimmune condition. So that's how it can help with so many different problems, is it looking at trying to minimize the things that are stimulating the issue from occurring, inflammation or damage.
Wow. What you have said is opening a total new world of awareness, because, wow. Because there's so many parents who do not know what to do. They have kind of lost hope, and they are in a blaming and victim state, blaming the creator, the universe, the doctors, blaming life. But this could be a total window of opportunity and window of possibility of change. This is amazing.
It's amazing what it can do. So if anybody has that and would like help, just go to my website and set up a time, and I'll talk to you about it, and we'll see if it's right for you.
Absolutely. So you've got, let me just put it back on the screen. By the way, we have Rossi, who is saying, love it. Hello, Rossi.
That's just my name.
Yeah, Ross.
Great thing you got there, I'll have to say.
Amazing. And let me put back. So if you want to know more about Dr. Ross, or follow him, or get more info, or get in touch with him, this is the website. It's just his name. Just put drrosscarter.com. That's his website. Get in touch with him. And Thursday, he's gonna blow your mind with something specific. He's gonna go deep into a topic and do a proper workshop and allow you to ask questions. So I think we have done. Ross, thank you so much to have joined us today. It was a privilege to have you with us right now. And for all of you, see you on Thursday. And my name is Moses. We had Dr. Ross Carter here with you. And together we are on a mission on making sure we give you the tools and the knowledge that can allow you to live an outstanding life the way you deserve it and the way you were created for it. So love you so much. Love you all. See you on Thursday. Thank you, Ross. Would you like just to say final word to say hi, bye to our audience?
Bye, audience.
And see you on Thursday. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
We'll catch up just straight away soon with you, Ross. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.